pain of illusion, betrayed by the rules. The belief in a just world is a dangerous illusion. Melvin J. Lerner last, the one who, when the team needs it, never hesitates to say, "I'll do it." You are the good person who has erased the word no from your vocabulary, shouldering every burden. What have you sacrificed? You've sacrificed time with your family, witnessing your children's precious moments only through the cold glow of a phone screen. You've sacrificed romantic evenings with your partner, replacing them with endless conference calls. You've sacrificed deep conversations with your closest friends, your social circle shrinking with each passing year. You've sacrificed your health, the chronic pain in your neck, the persistent ache in your stomach, your receding hairlinal medals of your loyalty and diligence. You adhere to every taught virtue, honesty, integrity, hard work, and loyalty. You operate like a precision-engineered gear, fitting perfectly into the colossal machine called society, convinced that every rotation is building credit towards a promise called someday, a promise of a promotion, a nod of approval from your boss, the proud smiles of your family, a life of stability and peace. But then, reality delivers a stunning, brutal slap to the face. The promotion goes to the colleague who clocks in just on time, who never misses an afternoon tea break, but who masterfully understands how to perform for the right audience. This person, this corporate chameleon, lacks your skill, your deep understanding of the projects, but he knows the right people. He is a master tailor, skillfully stitching your accomplishments onto his own lapel. You watch, powerless, as this charlatan, this purveyor of lies, rises faster than you could ever imagine. He moves into the house you've only dreamed of, drives the car you've only dared to touch at auto shows, and lives the very life you thought you had earned with your own blood and sweat. You are left behind, stranded, swallowed by a profound and suffocating sense of the absurd. You torture yourself with the question, "What did I do wrong?" You begin to doubt your abilities, to question your sacrifices, to second-guess your very existence. You curl up in the dead of night, a wounded animal licking invisible wounds, trying to numb the piercing pain of injustice with even more exhausting work. But perhaps, my friend, you have been asking the wrong question from the very beginning. This is not about your personal failure, nor a flaw in your effort. The real question, the one that is sharper, more dangerous, yet infinitely closer to the truth, should be this: what is the great elaborate? Were you once that most devout believer? The one who trusted that if you just followed the rules, the world would eventually grant you fairness. You work 60, 70, even 80 hours a week. The office lights burn for you long past midnight, and the morning's bitter coffee is your only fuel. While others enjoy the warmth of a family dinner, you are revising a proposal for the 17th time. While friends raise their glasses in weekend celebration, you are answering email after email marked urgent. You are the one who always arrives early and lie, I have been told. Is this world truly a field where every seed of effort blossoms into a harvest? Or is it more like a grand chessboard where the rules are written by a select few and where the vast majority of us, from the moment we are born, are designated to be pawns? Part 2. Deconstructing the lie, slave morality, and the invisible chains. Let us now journey to the heart of this deception. With a philosopher's scalpel, we will dissect the sugar-coated lie you've been fed. You are not the first to feel this profound confusion, and you will certainly not be the last. This deep-seated belief that good things happen to good people has a name in psychology: the just world fallacy. It is a profound cognitive bias, a psychological shelter we build to protect ourselves from the randomness and cruelty of the real world. We need to believe the world is fair, because an unpredictable, illogical universe is simply too terrifying to contemplate. To maintain this belief, when we witness the suffering of innocents, our minds instinctively search for a reason to blame the victim, thereby rationalizing their misfortune and preserving our illusion of cosmic justice. This mechanism is why, when faced with injustice, your first instinct is to blame yourself, not to question the rules of the game. And those who hold power have masterfully weaponized this psychological tendency. Over a century ago, the German philosopher who shattered all idols with the hammer of his thought, Friedrich Nietzsche, saw through it all. He introduced a revolutionary concept: master morality versus slave morality. Everything you were taught to cherish humility, obedience, compassion, self-sacrifice for the collectivists, in Nietzsche's view, not a universal virtue but the hallmark of slave morality. This ethical system was not born from the strength and confidence of the powerful. On the contrary, it originates from the weakness, resentment, and fear of the oppressed. Because the weak cannot compete with the strong in terms of power, intellect, or courage, they perform what Nietzsche called a revaluation of all values. They take the qualities of the master pride, ambition, creativity, even unnecessary ruthlessness, and label them evil. Meanwhile, they elevate their own characteristics, born of necessity, patience, submissiveness, pity, and sanctify them as good. The essence of slave morality is to convince the sheep that the eagle's ferocity is evil, while the sheep's meekness is the supreme virtue. Once established, this narrative becomes the most formidable of invisible prisons. It makes the laborer willingly accept his toil, believing there is a sacred moral dignity in suffering itself. Corporate culture that chants "we are a family" to justify unpaid overtime, and media narratives that glorify the unsung selfless hero. These are the echoes of slave morality. It keeps you content in your place. It allows you to feel a sense of noble purpose even as you are being exploited. It whispers, "Don't ask questions. Don't think for yourself. Just work. Your value lies in your compliance." This is what Nietzsche called spiritual slavery. It doesn't bind your body with iron chains. It imprisons your mind with a carefully constructed moral code, domesticating your will to power. It makes you interpret being used as being needed and being drained as being valued. So when you see that sycophant colleague rise, when you see those who amass fortunes through connections, information, arbitrage, or even deceit being celebrated as winners, the tearing sensation you feel is the violent collision of your deeply held slave morality with the brutal reality of the world. The karmic justice you believed in is a ghost in a game designed by and for the masters. They praise your sacrifice because it makes your sacrifice easier to consume. They glorify your hard work because it keeps their machine running efficiently. The system is not malfunctioning, my friend. It is functioning perfectly, just as it was designed to. Part 3. The Master's Awakening. Reshaping Value, Seizing the Helm of Power. So, what do you do when the glass dome of illusion is shattered by the hammer of reality? When you see the intricate lines of power that define the chessboard, do you sit in the ruins and weep, or do you pick up the hammer and begin to forge your own weapons? Nietzsche never told you to stop working. He never glorified laziness or selfishness. What he challenged was the blind, unthinking moral labor that outsources your self-worth to the judgment of others. To awaken is to undergo a profound cognitive revolution. It begins by facing the uncomfortable truth. In this world, power, not virtue, is the ultimate currency that determines outcomes. Power here is not merely political or physical force. It is the broader capacity to influence and shape reality. It includes the power of capital, the control of information, the leverage of networks, and the authority to define the narrative. Look at how the masters of our world play the game. Steve Jobs didn't ask the market what it wanted. With his reality distortion field, he told the market what it should want. He created the rules. He didn't follow them. When Elon Musk was fired from the very company he co-founded, he didn't wallow in the pain of betrayal. He took his capital and pivoted to create one audacious future after another: electric cars, reusable rockets, brain-computer interfaces. He refused to be a bitter pawn on an old board. He decided to create entirely new games. This is master morality in practice. It doesn't wait for permission. It grants its own. It doesn't seek validation. It defines its own value. The individual who embodies master morality defines good as that which enhances their own power, affirms their life, and fuels their will to create and expand. They are proactive, decisive, and self-reliant. They are the legislators of their own lives. So how can you, an ordinary person, begin to practice this? First, distinguish between value creation and value capture. You might be an excellent engineer, a value creator, but the real wealth flows to the CEO who built the platform and set the rules, the value capturer. To awaken is to start thinking strategically about how, while creating value, you can also learn to capture a share of it. This might mean learning business, finance, or marketing. It might mean building your own brand or distribution channel. Second, stop masking incompetence with morality. Instead of saying, "I'm just not one for office politics," ask yourself, "Do I lack the skill to build effective alliances?" Instead of saying, "I'm just too honest," ask, "Do I not know how to set firm boundaries and say no to unreasonable demands?" Re-identify what slave morality has labeled as virtues and see them for what they are, skills that you need to develop. Third, cultivate strategic kindness. Your kindness and empathy are immense strengths, but they should not be unconditional and weak. Kindness should be a conscious, strategic choice and investment. Help those who are worthy of it, those who can create a positive feedback loop with you. For those who only drain your energy and exploit your goodwill, you must learn the cold courage to walk away. Your time and energy are your most precious assets. Do not squander them. Fourth, become the source of your own worth. Your value is not determined by your boss's opinion, your job title, or society's applause. It must be rooted in your skills, your knowledge, your creativity, and the purpose you define for yourself. When your self-worth is internal, the praise and criticism of the outside world can no longer shake you. This is the path to becoming who you are, the arduous climb toward what Nietzsche called the Übermensch, the overman. It is not about becoming a heartless tyrant. It is about becoming a spiritually sovereign, fully realized individual who takes absolute responsibility for their own life, a person who no longer passively accepts value, but actively creates it. Part 4. The Path to Action. From pawn to player, your ultimate choice. You now stand at a crossroads. One path is the one you've walked for so long, believing that goodness will be rewarded, that hard work guarantees success, that the system will take care of you if you're just a good person. You now see that this path may lead only to a barren wasteland of disappointment. The other path is overgrown with thorns, filled with uncertainty. It demands that you abandon the comforting fairy tales you've been told since childhood. This new path leads to a world of lucid, often brutal clarity. In this world, fairness is not a given. It is the outcome of a power struggle. Morality is often a weapon used by the powerful to keep the compliant in check. And you must learn not only to dance in your chains, but to forge the hammer to shatter them. So what is the first concrete step? Step 1. Stop waiting. Start building. Stop waiting for a savior or a lucky break. If you are dissatisfied, start building what you desire. It could be a side hustle, a personal project, an online community, any small venture that allows you to accumulate your own capital, skills, and network. Remember, action is the only antidote to helplessness. When you own something, no matter how small, you own leverage. You own the power to walk away. Step 2. Learn the rules of the game. Don't just obey them. Read the books you were never assigned, books on strategy, negotiation, psychology, and power dynamics. Understand the underlying mechanics of the world. You don't have to become manipulative, but you must learn to recognize manipulation. You don't have to become a liar, but you must learn to identify a lie. The world is a grand game, and ignorance is not a virtue. It is a liability. Step 3. Redefine your morality. Is your moral code serving the expansion of your life and your will, or is it a justification for accepting mediocrity and suppression? The kindness of a truly strong person has teeth. Their integrity is a choice, not a weakness. Their loyalty is earned, not given away freely. They do not allow their principles to be used as a weapon against them. The highest morality is to become a stronger, freer, more self-determined version of yourself. Step 4. Embrace your inner wolf. Inside every meek, good person, a wolf lies dormant. It represents your ambition, your desires, your aggression, your primal will to live. You have been taught to suppress this wolf, to fear it as something evil. But Nietzsche would tell you that this wolf is the source of your power. Your task is not to kill it, but to master it, to harness its energy, to use its sharp senses, to see the world clearly, to use its fangs, to defend your boundaries, and to use its howl to declare your existence. This path is a lonely one. When you begin to question, to think, to act, many will not understand you. They may even resent you because your awakening is a painful mirror to their own slumber. But this is the price of becoming a master of your own fate. The choice is now yours. You can continue to be the diligent, compliant pawn, ground down by the gears of a system you don't control, forever waiting for a someday that will never arrive. Or you can step through a different door, a door that leads to lucidity, strength, and self-creation. This world is not a fairy tale. It is a game of power. You were taught to be a piece. Now, it is time to learn how to be the player. The only question is, do you dare? The video ends with a shot of a lone figure standing confidently in the center of the chessboard as the pieces rearrange around him. The screen fades to black, displaying the channel's logo. If you're tired of being defined by the rules and are ready to forge your own, subscribe, because the awakening is only the beginning.